Ayo, when she says the drip isn't real. Oi oi, The Pre-Sequel, it's been a while, hasn't it? That's right boys, Sir Franz Kryptonand III has blessed you with what you wanted, and I'm glad you actually asked for some pre-sequel content. Yeah, I booted this game back up recently for not playing it for almost a year, and I've been having a shit ton of fun. Seriously, I recommend picking it back up if you took a partial hiatus from it. Anyway, today we're gonna be going over the cancelled DLC for Borderlands The Pre-Sequel known as Luxy's Space Adventure. It's such a shame because the reason why the pre-sequel suffers in current day replayability is because of the lack of endgame content, and judging by the sound of this DLC, it genuinely had a chance in saving the pre-sequel with the endgame activities. Yes, I said endgame, and as it is in the pre-sequel's fashion, a phenomenal story. Believe it or not, a decent chunk of this DLC was fleshed out design-wise, and it was definitely in the development process prior to being cancelled. Now, we don't have much to go off of story-wise, as no details were officially released to the public, but, what we do have is final and chosen concept art for the DLC, which gives us a ton of information and surprisingly gives us a very bright image of all the content included in the DLC. But Crypto, that is what concept art is meant to do. Shut up, dickhead. Alright fellas, so the artwork shown in this video can be found on Luke Valayans and Chris... Yeah, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. ArtStation accounts, which will be left in the description down below. Both people used to work as concept artists at 2K Australia before they shut down. Ayo? Hold on a sec. God damn it. Alright, so the first art is this very modern and accurate design of a cruise ship in space named the Luxotania, and this is believed to be the main area for the entire DLC. Very awesome area indeed. From our knowledge, it's pretty obvious that soon after arriving on the Luxotania, we would get invaded by space pirates and we'd get boarded by this ship. Shortly after that, it's assumed that we would meet the DLC's main villain named Flamey. Here are her earlier designs, and as you can see, they definitely stuck with the more appropriate badass look. It's assumed she would make an entrance after the pirates board the cruise ship, as the ship they board is very reminiscent in design to Flamey herself. Along with Flamey, we would also meet Crodrax, who is yet another boss and Flamey's mount. Yeah, pretty similar to Captain Scarlet and Roscoe. Okay, from now on, there is so many possibilities of where the story could go, so I'm not even going to try to write an entire Wattpad fanfic of the story. We'll just analyze things from now on. What you're looking at right now is the Luxotania entrance lobby, which as you can very obviously tell is a big inspiration for the Spendopticon areas in the Handsome Jackpot DLC for Borderlands 3. Next up, we have some of the main enemy types, and do they look familiar by any chance? If so, then that's because they are. Some of these plant-infected enemies had their assets reused in the Commander Lilith DLC. Yeah, this is very awesome. Luxy's Space Adventure might have never seen the light of day, but it carries its spirit around in the Borderlands franchise. And speaking of the DLC's spirit living within the Borderlands franchise, we have the Luxy ride. This was a clear inspiration for the Handsome Jackpot's travel system, and if you're familiar with that, then it's very easy to imagine how this would work. Yeah, with this being a thing, it's very obvious that this DLC was going to be huge when it comes to explorable areas. We saw big areas in some maps in the Claptastic Voyage DLC, and I'm glad that they intended to stick with this theme. Alright lads, next up we have these helper bots who help you, if that wasn't obvious enough. My guess is that they would work very similar to Moxie's Drinks in Concordia, meaning that you pay the robots a certain amount of moonstones and they'd either help you fight, or like one of the animations for them suggest, they'd make you some kind of drink which you'd get buffs from. Personally, I wouldn't take drinks from robots who look like Claptrap cosplayers. They probably put Rehypnol in my drink. We also have these very futuristic NPCs and they definitely look very cool. And the final image we have is probably the most exciting one, as this right here is the arena for a first brand new raid boss for Borderlands The Pre-Sequel. Yes, I say first, I'm not counting a buffed final boss as a raid boss, okay? As you can see, there were 3 variations for this raid boss, but the purple one is the one they ultimately stuck with, and I think it looks pretty cool. We have this guardian plant looking boss holding 4 platforms for each of our Vault Hunters to stand on, making this perfect for a co-op fight. This definitely looks like a fight we've never seen before, and I would genuinely love this. Yeah, by the looks of it, this would have added much more endgame content to the pre-sequel. Finally, here we have a brief description of the DLC, which states, and I quote, 2K Australia was planning yet another expansion in which the Vault Seekers plan to take an intergalactic cruise aboard the Luxotania spacecraft. However, other passengers on the ship began to mutate into vegetation-covered zombies. So what was it that caused the cancellation of this DLC? Well, my lads and ladettes, make sure to grab some tissues, as the reasoning why is sadder than the final episode of the first Walking Dead game season.
What a fucking
sad man.
The answer is simple yet heartbreaking, and that's because 2K Australia, the developers of the pre-sequel, went bankrupt, causing them to shut down. Yeah, as we all know, the pre-sequel had a terrible launch with things such as no dedicated drops, no respawnable bosses, and no endgame content plaguing the scene. These issues did end up being changed for the most part, however, it was definitely too late. It seems as if the pre-sequel was meant to be a big saving grace for 2K Australia and be their big moneymaker, however, as you could see, it was definitely the complete opposite, as it's the least selling Borderlands game to date. At the time of recording, Borderlands the Pre-Sequel has sold 2 million less copies than the original Borderlands 1 on Steam, which is a big disappointment as the game is secretly incredible and definitely should have been given a chance by many more players. It's still such a shame to me that Gearbox didn't pick the game up and help roll out all of its DLCs. But speaking of Gearbox, if you're wondering what they did during this difficult time period for both the Pre-Sequel and 2K Australia, then you'll be kind of relieved to hear this. 2K Australia was planning to shut down during the production of the Claptastic Voyage DLC, which would have been very bad. But Randy Pitchford and the gang actually saved the day and helped finish off the Claptastic Voyage DLC to make it what it is today. Good guy Gearbox. Also, if you're wondering if this DLC will ever see the light of day, then the answer is a very short but unfortunate sorry.
No.
What happened to Luxy's space adventure is truly saddening, but honestly, I think it's good to look at what the DLC did for the franchise. I highly doubt Moxie's heist on the Handsome Jackpot would be anywhere near as good without taking inspiration from the original plans of the space adventure. Same with the Commander Lilith DLC. You may not have realised it, but if it weren't for the planned enemy assets, the Commander Lilith DLC could have taken a completely different direction. But anyway fellas, that marks the end of this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, hitting that like and sub button really helps out. I make content all things Borderlands, so I'd recommend sticking around. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Stay classy. Peace.